I got to tell you, Sonia, I read your book this summer, the bulk of it when I was on a plane to the East Coast. And the timing of when I read it will stick with me for forever because I was on the plane and it was the clinching, it was game 6 of the NBA finals, Warriors and Celtics. So I've got Steph on the screen and I don't have my headphones, so I'm like sort of watching it. But I'm also reading your book at the same time. And the chapter that I started, and it was right after they won, he had been named MVP. There's like this joyous celebration, just larger than life smile. And I get to the chapter where you talk about that Steph Curry almost didn't exist. And that day in Richmond, Virginia, sit in the car with Dell. For people who haven't heard the story, can you just share a little bit? Because it was the most poignant thing that I'm sitting here reading this and I'm looking at Steph on and I was like in tears as I was having that experience of reading the book. What was it like to share that part?
It was healing to tell the story in the book, because I know there's lots of people out there, men and women. I know it really comes down to the woman's body and all that, but there are men out there that are trying to be partners in making these kind of decisions, and there's partners, men out there who don't even get a say in that because it just happens and they don't ever know about it or not. But the simple fact that people are having to make this decision every single day, every second of the day out there that we'll never know about. For me to be able to share that story with people, to know, one, so many people are struggling with it, and it's okay. It's okay that you are struggling with it. The second is that, you know, I, the decision that I made to keep him at that point is also countered with the decision that I made to not carry through with a previous pregnancy. And so God just bringing it all together and just showing me being able to just say, hey, here's this decision I made in this point, and look at the blessing that he has
Mm.
become. And I just thank God for that. And I just say to God that it was meant to be. And to not carry judgment. You don't have to carry a lot of judgment forever. Give ourselves some grace in making the decision with what we had to make the decision with when we made it.
Yeah.
But all things, my favorite scriptures, all things get work together for the good of those called according to his purposes in Christ Jesus. And so it all worked out. And there's Stefan,
Yeah.
and look what he's doing. And it's just amazing. It's just amazing to me.
And look at what he's doing. I think the thing when I look at
Sorry,
Steph
I'm off.
Curry
No, it is.
no, and
It's
I
so
appreciate
interesting.
you sharing that with us, honestly, and I really, really appreciated and respected and love that you were vulnerable to write that in the
Yeah.
book because I think, especially in the time that we're in, it is so poignant and so important because people probably look at you, Sonia, and think, she's got it all. She's this perfect, wonderful, like, and even now and with all the things that have happened, I'm sure that in reading the book, people understand a completely different side of your life and decisions and things that you've gone through. Had you told Steph that story before? I mean, obviously, I'm sure the book wasn't the first time you read it, but had you talked to him about that before?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. We agreed that along the way, any things that had happened in our lives at a certain point that we felt developmentally that they were able to receive it in a good way to help them as they developed and grew as like teenagers and then young adults, then we would share it with them. And I shared in the book the time where I spoke in front of the church and Sadell was there, and how important it felt, more so for me to for her to hear it, because she wa- she's going to struggle with those things. If she doesn't make good decisions, she could be dealing with that. And what I didn't want is for her to feel like that would be something she couldn't come to me about, whatever, and just to show her that I was a human being, because I think that's we hide so much from our children, and they look at us and think, well, mom, you don't understand, when you can never do. They still will do some of that anyway, but just thinking about my daughter again, being intentional. I always wanted to parent them in a very intentional way, to equip them for when they weren't with me, that they could like remember, oh, okay, well, mom shared this with me, or and to also understand how real, how vulnerable they're going to be in situations, and they're not going to be perfect. And somebody asked me in that decision, if you knew what you knew now, would you have made the decision about having the first abortion? And I said, that's such a hard question to ask, because I didn't have the faith that I had now then. If I would have had
Mhm.
the faith that I had now, then probably not.
Right.
But that's always one of those things where you're like, if I knew what I knew then I'd make a different decision.
Right, right. That's good,
Hindsight
you
is
can forgive
2020.
yourself, yeah,
So that's
and
why
that's
these
so
books
good
are
that
good. Yeah,
yeah,
that's why
really
Yeah.
these
good.
books, yeah, and
Yeah,
our sharing our
exactly.
experiences are important, because
Yeah,
then we can be that for other people.
right.